And today I'm going to be walking through what a typical day-to-day work process and workflow looks like for a reviewer for the Lacuna Fund Igbo API project. I made another video that was walking through the lexicographer day-to-day workflow of how they would use the platform in order to create 500 dialectical variations per month. For this video, I'm going to be walking through the same concept, but specifically for reviewers. So again, as context, each lexicographer is expected to create around 500 dialectical variations per month. I really want to stress that a dialectical variation is not a unique word entry. Rather, a dialectical variation is just a piece of extra metadata associated with the word entry. So what do I mean by this? Right now, we're looking at a list of 10 word entries. We're on the Words tab right now after I logged into the platform and I clicked on the Words tab. So each of these rows are considered a singular word entry. But within a word entry, if I go to edit this word entry, you'll be able to see that there are dialectical variations nested within that word entry. So this one word entry is actually generating 2 dialectical variations. So it's very possible that we could have 1,000 new word entries created, but we've created 2,000 dialectical variations from that process. So as just a heads up, per month, since we have around 4 lexicographers working on the project and we have the goal of around 500 dialectical variations, that could be 2,000 dialectical variations. However, that does not equate to 2,000 word entries per month, aka this whole page of information that you need to read through. So we just want to make sure that we emphasize that. So let's say that I am a reviewer and I want to get to reviewing the content that lexicographers are creating. I'm going to click the word suggestions tab and I'm going to be able to see all word suggestions that are currently available on the platform. We right now have around 5,776 word entries, and this is a great opportunity to recognize that anytime we have a large number of word suggestions within our platform, we want to make sure that we are focusing on reducing that number, either through 2 options. One, through merging, aka releasing words to the public, or 2, deleting the word suggestions. Having 5,000 word suggestions is something that we definitely want to avoid because it adds a lot of extra bloat to the project, and it's up to reviewers to make their way through these word suggestions, either approving, denying, or merging these word suggestions so that they can be cleaned up, or this list can be cleaned up and a lot easier to navigate through. So, as a reviewer, let's say that I want to get started with the review process. When I say review, all I'm saying is that I have the choice to approve or deny a word suggestion. Approving a word suggestion basically says that you're giving your stamp of approval in order for this word to become public to the rest of the world. A good indicator of a word that could be considered as mergeable or approvable is a sufficient word. So I really like to have reviewers, if they want to have a quick win, something that they can quickly approve and merge, I like them to look at the sufficient tag and see if it's there. If the word has a sufficient tag, this is a good sign that the word is on track to getting merged or released to the public. However, a sufficient tag is not the end-all be-all attribute necessary or needed in order for a word to be merged. It's up to the reviewer to still go through the word contents and verify that all word content is high quality. So if you want to view all the word content, since this list view is not showing the whole story, you can go to the right hand side and click on actions and then click on the view option. This is going to pull up a page that is going to give you more information about the word. You can see that we have our head word, our incipity, and then our part of speech. We try to do our best to make it visually obvious what changes have been made if a word suggestion came from an existing Word document. So if we have this part of speech, here you can see that the old part of speech was labeled as AV or active verb, but now it's just labeled as verb. However, we do not support verbs in this case, just plain verbs. We support 3 different types of verbs, active, passive, and medial, but we do not support just a verb. So anytime you see V for verb, you can automatically tell that this is an incorrect word entry because this is not a valid part of speech. But if we continue on, we can see that this word doesn't have an audio pronunciation just yet, or we can't play it back. If we notice that this word has an audio pronunciation that cannot be played back, that's a really good sign that this is a stale document. So either we have to re-record this audio or we delete this word suggestion. We can also see that our word stems are also not attached properly to this document, and even our example sentence doesn't have audio pronunciation associated with it. So this is a really bad sign of a Word document. Even though our sufficient label tried its best to say, okay, all of the required fields are filled in, the sufficient label isn't able to check to see if the information in the document is actually correct. That's why we have human reviewers and not computer reviewers. So, as a reviewer right now, I would simply deny this word. And denying the word isn't going to delete it. However, it is just going to mark it as something that is not worth our time for review. But if you want to have a conversation with your fellow teammates, you can always bring up the document and talk about it. So once I deny the word, I'll be taken back to the home page, or rather I'll be taken back to the word suggestions view, where I'm going to be able to move on to the next word as well. So we have the second word, which means jump out. But you can see again that whenever we have the verb just being verb, or the part of speech just being verb, you'll see this update part of speech appear each and every single time. This is a very clear sign that these are stale documents, and we should just delete these documents. So you can go over to the right hand side and just click on actions and then click on delete. And by doing that, it will just delete the word suggestion from the list. So we reduced our number of word suggestions by 1. And I highly recommend going through this process and just cleaning up documents that are just completely wrong by either using a stale part of speech, or its head word is being flagged, or just something that is very obvious that this Word document has not been updated. If you want a clearer sign of when the last time this document was updated, you can click on the View option, and then you can see when this document was last updated. So this document was updated last about a month ago, or earlier this month. It's usually not a great sign to see words living for such a long period of time. We usually want a word to be existing for about a week at most. So if you see a Word document that is last updated by almost a month ago, it's time to reach out to that author by clicking on them, and then you can email them and say, hey, we want to make sure that we can either merge this document or delete this document. Can you please prioritize making edits to this document? So that way we're continuously talking about our work and making sure that we're making progress. So it's up to reviewers to go through around up to 2,000 dialectical variations per month. However, that can be somewhere around closer to around 800 to 1,100-ish words per month. So we want to make sure that that number is very clear and obvious, that a reviewer could be going through that many number of words per month. One important thing about this process is communication. So whenever you come across a Word document or even an example document, you're just like, I really want to just have a conversation with someone else about this. What you can do is you can go to the View page or the Show page. You can copy the link, and then you can go to Slack and directly talk to your community members or your team members with this link pasted in your message. That way, whenever you're talking about a specific word, people can easily just click on the word that you're talking about within that Slack message, so they can directly address the concerns that you're bringing up or be able to participate in the conversation that you want to have. The final thing that I want to say about this platform is that it's by no means perfect. As you're making edits, you will probably run into some bugs here and there, and that's completely normal. In order to make your editing experience that much better, we would love to have you tell us whenever you see a bug. For example, a common bug, or a bug that I found when I was making this video, is if you click on this little drop-down button, this should be a quick view. So rather than you having to click on actions and then click on view, you could actually see all the word information by just clicking this little arrow down here, so you can stay on the same page and complete your work. However, when I click on this option, it looks like it's working right now. You can see this quick view that's going to show you information about the word. But I guess if I come across a word that doesn't have that information available, exactly, we'll see an error pop up saying something like, something went wrong, please contact our engineers. which you definitely should, so we can fix it very quickly. So if you ever come across errors like that, please let us know, and we'll be happy to work through any of the issues that you may have. So I'm going to refresh that page. But yeah, this video was focusing on the day-to-day work process for reviewers. Again, as a recap, the goal of the reviewer is to review the 2,000 dialectical variations that come in per month. And the way that they can do this is by going to the word suggestions list and working through it by clicking on a word that they want to approve or deny. They can click on the actions dropdown and click on the view option. And this view option is going to show them all the information associated with the word. Feel free to play around with the filtering options. You can filter based on if a word has pronunciation, if it's from the Igbo API editor platform specifically. You can also filter by part of speech. So if you're in a mood to only review words that are nouns, then you can filter out words that are just nouns. You can also jump to the end of the list to see the most recently suggestions or recently created suggestions. For example, you have words that come from our Nkoa Uku community. So people have suggested receipt or downstairs. And you can even see this new word that I've created, which I can delete right now. So if you want to see the most recently created suggestions, you can probably go to the end of the list and work your way backwards. So we have a lot of suggestions that are still being created, and we want to make sure that even though it says insufficient does not mean that the word should be automatically deleted. Rather, insufficient is just a great opportunity for us to see how we can make changes to make the word sufficient and complete. But thank you.